I used to go listen to him play in the band. I'm Francis next to Luca. I appreciate your vote for Congress. I was going to talk about a lot of things, but I'm just going to tell you real quickly. My background, I grew up in Jacksonville with a retired Marine tech sergeant is my dad, a public school teacher is my mom. But the thing that most impacted me growing up in Jacksonville was during the Vietnam War, watching the government cars drive around my neighborhood looking for houses. And they were looking for those houses so that they could tell some woman or some family that her husband or their dad wasn't coming home because he was killed in Vietnam. And we talk about a lot of things, but we have to remember that one of the most solemn things you do when you go to Congress is you're going to have to vote on war. So you need to send people who are thoughtful, who understand the gravity of what they're doing up there. And so a lot of other things, President Civitas for 10 years, military for over 30 years, but I think about these things and I appreciate your vote. First thing I would do is to mention the staff up there is pretty thin right now, would be to hire and have someone who is specifically tasked with being a liaison for the watermen and fishermen in the area to the national bureaucracies, because you've got things like the Endangered Species Act, the Marine Mammal Act that are headquartered in Washington that really negatively impact fishermen going about their business. Also, the National Marine Fisheries is something where they need to be kept abreast of what's going on and have a forceful advocate to go before the bureaucracies to represent them. And that's what some steps are. Francis Luca. Everybody's right. You won't accomplish a lot, but you can start working on things, because what you should be doing is you should be laying the groundwork for Republicans to retake the majority in 2020. The issues you should be working on, the issues you want to hopefully advance when the Republicans have control and can move bills. I do think there's an opportunity to work on things like veterans' health care, because Democrats are striving to present themselves as military friendly. I'd invite you to go to ColonelDeLucaForCongress.com if you want to look at a list of issues and where I stand on those, and you'll see some of the things I advocate for in terms of actual law changes. And I'd just like to ask you again for your vote, and thank you for your time for coming. With all due respect, Mr. Moderator, this is not a complex problem. It's only complex because corrupt Washington politicians make this a complex problem. It's very simple. Shut down the border as the President proposed, build a wall, and fix our legal immigration system. Restrict it. We need to give time for our country to absorb all the immigrants we've had, allow the ones to go home who want to go home, and stop ones from coming in who shouldn't be here. Only take the highest value people to the U.S. The other thing is visa overstays. While we allow people in on work visas, 700,000 have overstayed their visas. Combine those with 100,000 that came across the border, and you've got a real crisis. The President's right. So we just need to do what the President said, and I think we'll be much better off. I'm Francis DeLuca. You've got to distinguish between the President's actual policies and what the fake media says are his policies. That's the important thing. And so I don't have disagreements with the President's policies. I do want to say something about the tax cuts, because there have been things about balancing the budget and everything. The U.S., much like North Carolina after our tax cuts, has record revenue. It's not a revenue problem, it's a spending problem. And that occurred under Republican Congresses and under Democrat Congresses. And that is Congress's problem to get the budget under control. So could ask the President to do one thing, it'd be to veto more spending bills. What's the major thing facing the armed forces right now is kind of a hangover from the Obama years, where the military was used as a testing ground for radical social policies. We need to clean that out. And there's quite a few senior officers in the military who were instrumental in making that in place in the military. We need to clean that out. For veterans, very simple. It's the veterans who have earned it, who actually have medical problems that are military related, in the VA system. We need to end the VA system, allow the veterans to get the health care in their local communities, help them, help their family, also help those local hospitals.
The next question. Shipping of inlets and beaches have resulted in enormous losses of public beach access, property, business, and infrastructure. As a member of Congress, what will you do to ensure open, dependable, and navigable waters in both the deep and shallow draft waterways?
as someone mentioned earlier, as a very junior member of a minority party in Congress, I don't know if there's a lot you can do immediately to do it, but you can put pressure on the Army Corps of Engineers for navigable waterways. They have the responsibilities for keeping those open and maintaining them. The other thing that's happened is the legislature several years ago allowed allowed groins to be put on beaches. And there is a way there to stabilize some of the beaches. A lot of places don't want to do that, and that's a local option. But I think those are the two things you can do that would help to stabilize it and make them safer for navigation. This all night, really appreciate you putting it on. I want to complete my bio. I forgot to mention, I have a wife, 2 daughters, and 2 grandchildren. They would be very upset if I didn't say that. I spent a decade as the head of Civitas here in North Carolina, and during that time, we pushed for election reform, we pushed for tax cuts, we were the ones who published a study on it, school choice, unemployment insurance reform, a whole list of the things that have been done over the last 8 years or so. Civitas was at the lead of those. If you want to find out more information about me, Colonel DeLuca for Congress.com. I'd appreciate your vote, and tell everybody you know they need to get out and vote before April 30th.